welcome back to the Django Brew Podcast. This is episode 3, and we're talking about PyCon 2024, and with me as always is Sangeeta.
Hello, hi everyone. Hello, Djangoistas. I'm super excited to talk about PyCon today, and yeah, we had a lot of fun, so I think we have a lot to talk about.
Just a couple of Djangoistas talking about Pythonistas?
Pythonistas? Yeah. And maybe some baristas, probably.
Yeah, I mean,
some
all the
random
Istas.
baristas. Yeah.
So I have been to a PyCon before, and you haven't, right, Sangeeta?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And I went to the one in Portland in 2016, which is a long time.
That was really long ago.
It was a long time ago. Let's not talk about that.
2016 BC?
It wasn't quite that long ago, but it feels like it a little bit sometimes. Okay. But have you been to a PyCon before?
No, this is my first PyCon ever, so I'm hoping to attend more PyCons in the future. But yeah, I'm really excited that this is my first one. But
it's pretty different than DjangoCon, right? I mean,
yeah,
we talked about that a little in the last episode, but
yeah.
I was trying to warn you, but I don't know. It's hard to know.
I feel like you can't grasp the difference unless you actually attend PyCon, and now that I have, I can say that it's way bigger, a lot more people. I don't know if I followed as much of the conference tips as I would have liked. So we can talk about that later. But yeah, it's way bigger. So that was a huge difference.
Yeah. And have you been to Pittsburgh before?
No, this is my first time in Pittsburgh. So it was really cool just to, walk around and take in all of the sites and all of the bridges. There's a lot of bridges.
So many bridges. I didn't even know.
Yeah. So that was really cool. And I think on the days that I didn't attend the conference and also in the afternoons, I just walked around. And was this your first time in Pittsburgh?
I've been around Pittsburgh, but I never stayed in the downtown area. So I got to walk around a lot of that during the conference, and I had a really good time.
And did you stay close by the conference center?
No, by the time I got my hotel, all the conference hotels were already booked. Because you booked really late. I booked really late. No judgment here. It was a nice excuse for me to walk around and see more of the city because I was pretty far away from the conference center.
Well, I stayed not even 10 minutes away. I stayed in, I think it's a famous building called the Pennsylvanian. My Airbnb was there. And it was a really beautiful building. And I was just a couple minutes across from the conference center.
Well, someone told us it was like the old train station or something.
Yeah, it is.
It was really pretty from the outside.
Yes.
So it's neat that they made apartments in there. That was pretty cool. So what else did you see around Pittsburgh?
So we reached one day early before the conference started on Thursday. So we got to walk around and I saw the PPG place, which is these huge buildings made of glass. And it was really beautiful. It was really nice to go there and look around and walk around too. And also close by, there is a market square. So it was kind of like a little farmer's market moment. So that was really nice. I even got some vegan fudge, which was really interesting.
Have you ever had vegan fudge before?
No, I've never had it, which is why I was so surprised. So when I walked up there, I asked if there was any vegan fudge, and the lady actually said they were hiding the vegan fudge because it didn't look as appealing as the regular fudge.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I was very happy that I was in luck, but it tasted really well. I got she gave me a whole chemistry lesson. It's made with oat milk and cocoa butter and it's really just a couple ingredients, but it was really tasty and creamy and it was actually really good. So I was glad that I got that.
So next time I see vegan fudge on a sign, I should definitely try it. Is that your recommendation?
Definitely try it. Yeah. It's it might not look as pretty, but it tastes good.
Well, you know what they always say is don't judge a fudge by
They say exactly that.
It's consistency? I don't know.
I think I've heard that said once or twice, yeah.
It's a very common phrase.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But no, that's good. That sounds really good. Did you eat anything else good in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I got some Greek food, which is really tasty. And I stopped at Nicholas Tea and Coffee Shop, which is one of the oldest coffee shops in Pittsburgh. So that was really cool. And when you step in there, it's the aroma of coffee hits you and it's
overwhelming.
Yes, it's so amazing. And there's a bunch of interesting coffee bean flavors. There's like the usual, like, okay, like chocolate cinnamon swirl and peanut butter, which are really good. But I saw like one that's called like Rainforest Crunch.
What would that even be? I don't even
I don't
understand.
know. I don't know, but I was trying to get them to make me coffee with that flavor beans, but they didn't. They had their daily brew, so I just got one of those, and it was really nice. So yeah, Adam, how was your Pittsburgh experience? Did you go see anything interesting?
They do have two inclines at Pittsburgh, and I think they're funiculars.
What are those?
There are train tracks and they're on an incline, and there's like a train carriage that's kind of mounted diagonally on this thing, and then it goes up and down based on pulleys. But I've been on a couple, and they're always pretty fun. And so I went to one of them in Pittsburgh, and it takes you to the top of Mount Washington. And then I went at night, so you can see the whole city is lit up, and it's really pretty, and it's a really beautiful vantage point.
Yeah, that view of the city was really nice in the nighttime.
And you could see a lot of the bridges, which I did not know there were so many bridges in Pittsburgh. But one thing that I learned is that there's like over 600 bridges.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? There's multiple rivers, and then there's like big valleys and stuff, and there's bridges for all of it. I also went to what is called the south side of Pittsburgh. It's on the other side of one of the rivers. I played pinball there, so that's why I went. But
okay.
I tried to see different parts of the city.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And was the pinball fun? Like, did they have like old machines that were pretty cool?
Yeah, there are a bunch of old pinball machines there, but I also like the newer pinball machines. They're really cool. They have lights and they flash, and they're all, jingly jangly. And so,
yep, I like those too.
So I found a bunch of places that had those pinball machines, walked all around Pittsburgh. And one day I also went to the Andy Warhol Museum, because apparently he was born in Pittsburgh. It's a smaller museum, so it doesn't take that long to get through. But if you like pop art, it's a really great place to go and kind of see a retrospective on all the art over his life. And so I highly recommend it if you're in Pittsburgh and you want to check out some art.
So I'm glad we had a lot of fun walking around and exploring Pittsburgh. So let's talk about the conference, the actual PyCon conference itself.
Oh,
so
the reason that we're going to Pittsburgh. Yeah, okay,
exactly.
That's right.
As a first timer, the PyCon was really a way bigger conference than DjangoCon. Some things that I really liked about it was that they had a mobile app that you can download and you can see all of the talks and schedules there. So that was really helpful. And they had posters.
I saw, yeah. You got your wish.
I know, yeah. So that was really helpful. Well, because the conference center is such a huge convention center. It's like a huge place. So there's lots of walking to do. I definitely hit my 10,000 steps.
Yeah, me too.
Every day.
Yep.
And yeah, so one thing that I would recommend is like, if possible, like register early. So I was able to register the day before the conference started. And that just made it easier because on the day of the conference, you probably can save some time if you do it beforehand.
Yeah, don't be like me who had to register the day that the conference started, because then there's just a giant crowd of people that you have to wait with.
Yeah. One thing that I would recommend is if you reach early on the first day, just walk around and get to know the conference center and get to know where the talks would be hosted, because it's a huge place. There's lots of walking around and there's multiple floors. So definitely go see where the main halls are, just so that you know where they are.
Yeah, and they're like on multiple levels, and they're kind of spread out. So there were 4 tracks plus the Charlotte track. And so depending on what talks you wanted to go to, you kind of had to go all over the place to get to the different halls.
Yeah.
And you heard like a crazy thing about this conference center, right?
Yeah, I did. I learned this from one of our coworkers. So a couple of years ago, the floor of the David Lawrence Convention Center collapsed because there was a car expo, and I guess the floors didn't hold up and it collapsed.
I mean, I'm glad I didn't know that before we were walking around.
Exactly.
Maybe just because, it's just people walking around. Everything was fine. No collapsing floors. So that's good.
It was just interesting to hear that happened at the exact place that we were for a couple of days.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one thing that might be interesting to talk about is the differences between the DjangoCon that we just went to and this PyCon, because the talks are really different. How do you feel like the conferences compared?
Yeah, okay, so that's a really interesting question. The feeling is very different. The two conferences are at different scales. So it's sort of comparing like apples to oranges. It's web development is just one area of Python. So obviously PyCon is going to be way bigger and a lot more people. But DjangoCon is smaller. It's more cozy because it's less people and you might have more in common with the people at DjangoCon than the people at PyCon. And you sort of like know what to expect, whereas PyCon is like a vast array of different topics and different talks and different areas of Python that you can explore. What I realized about PyCon is that it's such a huge conference and you can definitely approach it with a choose your own adventure type perspective. So you can look at the schedule and decide like, okay, I want to just learn new things today and just go like explore topics that you have no idea about. Or you can kind of like just overall be intentional with how you attend PyCon.
Have you ever been to like a stadium concert? Like
Yeah.
a really big
Yes.
stadium concert? So like PyCon felt like that to me. It was like a lot of people all there for like a shared experience, but everyone sort of has like their favorite song and they're like waiting for their favorite song to be played.
Yeah.
And DjangoCon was kind of like a small club where everyone just loves the band and they're just there because they love the band.
That's such a good comparison. I love that. Yeah.
It's not that one is better or worse. They're just like different experiences.
Yeah.
And I really liked the PyCon experience, but I think I'm kind of more of the like small concert experience.
Yeah.
But that's just good information to have. And when you're going to these conferences, it's good to sort of know how they're going to feel. And like you were saying, be prepared.
Yeah, definitely. Like mentally prepare. Like it's kind of like similar to like when you're going on a run, right? Like for me, like every run is hard, but like if I'm going on like an 8-mile run, I mentally prepare for like, okay, I'm doing a longer run.
Know.
It's you just like, you kind of like, exactly. You know what you're getting yourself into.
With that being said, we did notice some trends in the conference talks, and so we're going to talk about some of those topics. One was PyScript, which I think was announced last year or
I think
is
2
pretty
years
recent.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's really gaining momentum. There was a lot of people talking about it and using Python in the browser. And we went to at least one. Did you go to two of them?
I think I went to all 3 of them. They were on day one, or at least the ones that we listed here. They were all on day one. But yeah, they were all great. Like PyScript, like it feels so like magical.
Yeah, I had this thought in my mind that they would be like a really big download to be able to run Python. But for one of the runtimes, it's like 150K or something. It's like really small.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's smaller than your normal React app. And so you could just run Python in your browser.
Yeah, for sure.
So there were at least 3 that we saw. One was making your documentation interactive. I think you went to that one, right?
Yes, I saw that one. So this talk was given by Jeff Glass, and he's one of the maintainers of PyScript. This talk was really great because he kind of like gave an overview of like PyScript, what PyScript is, and then how you can boost your documentation using PyScript and kind of like integrate that into tools that we already use like Sphinx and mkdocs. So it was really a lot of information. I've never used it before, so it was really cool to like learn that you could do all of those things. And one thing that's applicable to web developers is that it is possible to run a web app in a service worker, and then so you can expose, or you can kind of like run that in PyScript and expose documentation using PyScript and PyEditor. So that was really cool. And he mentioned that I think they did that with the Fast API docs. I'm not sure if it's still up or if it's still a thing, but it was done. So it's possible that you can do that. So that was really cool to learn that all these things are kind of like becoming available to us.
I'd love to see if it's possible with Django and just try it out, just as a prototype.
You have a bunch of Django packages, so you can probably use PyEditor to make more interactive documentation for those.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I was thinking about in the next talk, because I went to the next talk, which is interactive software documentation. But sort of that idea of, is there a way to, instead of just showing people documentation, a way that they can, participate and it be a little more interactive? And I think at least I learn better when I'm actually doing something as opposed to just reading through. So that was one thing I was thinking about.
One thing that he did mention at the beginning of the talk was like, there is a long road usually between people seeing like sample code and then them having to like take your code and then run it, because
Makes
you
sense.
always have to like, you see a snippet of code and you're like, oh, this looks so good. But then you have to like create a virtual environment and then import stuff and then do all these like steps, before you actually run that snippet. So like this, I think, will really help.
And I think we both went to the Build in Browser 3D Experiences with WebGL and PyScript talk as well. And that one was neat because it started with PyScript. There was some visualization stuff in there. And It was neat to see Lucas, who is a core Python developer. He was really engaging. I thought he was funny and he did a really good job with that talk. So something I'm not sure if I would ever use in my day-to-day work, but it was neat to see how you could build up these visualizations.
Yeah, I agree, because during that talk, it was a lot of information that as you said, I probably wouldn't, delve into myself. But then when he showed the preview of those graphics, I was like, this is probably worth maybe learning. Yeah, so PyScript is definitely, one of the trends that we saw. Another trend that I saw was Python optimization and performance. There were a lot of talks about how to optimize CPython and just a lot of the improvements that are coming with the newer versions of Python. So there were some talks here that we looked at.
Yeah, it seemed like if you put Gil in the name, you were automatically accepted as a conference talk. So there was overcoming the Gil with subinterpreters and immutability. It was very low level and sort of computer science-y. Okay. So again, not very useful in my day job, but just hearing more about the internals of Python, I thought was sort of fascinating. There was another talk about unlocking the parallel universe.
Oh, wow.
Subinterpreters. Yeah, I know.
Do you become Doctor Strange after doing that or something?
Yes, you can do the whole hand wavy thing and then
you finally defeat Dormammu.
Wow. I don't know what that means.
Wait, you've never
I have a surface level understanding of Doctor Strange. I watched the first one.
Yeah, Dormammu was in that one.
Oh no.
It's okay. I'll forgive you.
So this talk was not about superheroes at all. It was by Anthony Shaw, and it was another really good talk. He's very engaging, and he was talking about multiprocessing versus threading versus subinterpreters. It was really interesting. He has some benchmarks there and sort of talks about when you would use one different version of concurrency over another. So I really liked it. Related to performance, there were a lot of talks about Rust and how you can build Python libraries with a Rust backend to make them perform even faster. So there was a talk about Rough from Charlie Marsh. There was building a Rust path validation library. There was another talk about Pydantic and how you can power that up. And then there was a talk that kind of got really into the weeds about how Python harnesses Rust through PY03. I think I went to most of those talks.
Okay.
Mostly because I find it interesting how the Python ecosystem has really embraced Rust. And it seems like a nice marriage between a really high level language where you don't have to think about memory and a really low level language, which is very fast.
Yeah, I attended one of these Pydantic talks, and Pydantic is such a powerful library. I've used it a couple times, and now that it uses Rust, it's faster.
Yeah, I think I went to that talk as well, and the whole last portion was about discriminators. Have you ever used discriminators with Pydantic?
Okay, I've never used them before.
Me neither.
Yeah.
So I was like, I should probably do that.
Yeah. there's a bunch of things that I haven't used. So I'm like, this can come in handy. And another trend that we saw at PyCon was AI and LLMs, because that's another space that Python is really getting a lot of development in. So what do you think of did you attend any of the LLM talks?
I didn't go to any of the actual LLM talks, but I did go to the Simon Willison keynote, where it was mostly about LLMs because he's been doing a lot of prototyping and research about how to utilize LLMs in your daily development workflow. It made me not hate LLMs as much. No, I don't know.
Well, one of the main takeaways from his talk that I liked was he said, like, AI and LLMs, they don't have to be perfect. They're not perfect, but they don't have to be perfect to be useful. And I think that kind of like helps me level set and kind of like it changes the way that I think about AI now, because it was always like, oh, it's like if AI can't do this, then you can't use it for anything else. But like you can, and maybe you should. And I like that he kind of emphasized that.
Yeah, it was sort of like it can give you a first draft of code and it doesn't have to be perfect, but at least you have a starting place and then you can fix it if it needs to be fixed. And so I think he sort of approaches it from that mentality, which I agree. It's probably the better way to think about these tools.
Yeah. Like maybe the more pragmatic approach, like doesn't have to be perfect, but if it's useful, it can help you. So these were some of the talks that highlighted the trends that we're seeing, not only in the Python space, but overall tech like WebAssembly and AI. But some of the talks that I also liked were about general programming.
Oh, you mean like things that can be useful for regular developers?
Yeah, regular developers.
Like me.
Like me too, yeah. Yes. So one of these talks was the design of everyday APIs by Lynn Root. So at first, I thought that this talk was going to be about REST APIs, but no, this is about library design, software design, and really how to structure your code so that it's easy for the end user. I found this talk really refreshing because it wasn't overly technical. It hit that sweet spot between being technical, but also high level. And it really showed you how to think as a developer about code and how to make your code enjoyable to use, because really software engineering isn't art. There's no right or wrong. It can be artistic, and it's really up to you how to express some idea into code. So because of that, it's sometimes hard to strike that balance between having software that's flexible, maintainable, but not overly complex. So she ran through a lot of best practices on how to do that. And one quote that I liked about the talk that I resonated with is, your software will become part of a bigger system, so make sure that your software is a well-behaved part of that bigger system. And I think that touches on the 3 tenets that she talked about, which was your API should be intuitive, flexible, and simple. So yeah, this is just a really, really great talk that overall kind of like, once you walked away from it, you have so many things that you want to put into practice.
I love those talks where as the person is talking, you are like thinking about your own code or something that you've been working on. And you're like, oh, that is the thing that I can do to make this more understandable or, better for somebody else.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what happened.
Yeah. And I think the best talks are probably those that when the speaker is telling you what not to do, you're like, oh, I do that. And then, so that means you're like learning, right? Like, you're like, oh, that looks like my code right now.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't go to this talk, but I really want to take a look at it and watch it. And I think I'm going to get a lot out of it as well.
Yeah. And this also reminded me of another talk at PyCon 2020 that I saw online. And it's called If Statements Are a Code Smell. And I don't know if you agree with that or not, but it talked about like how having a lot of if statements in your code can make it more like harder to understand, like spaghetti code, harder to test as well. So it was like all about like refactoring code to like keep the logic the same, but like make your code more easy to read. I recommend it.
So along with all the talks, they also have open spaces. People can just sign up for a particular topic in a particular room and sort of self-organize around certain things. There was one for Wagtail, and I heard it sort of turned into a Django open space as well. But I didn't go to it, and I don't think you did either, but our other coworker did.
I didn't, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm sort of bummed that I missed out on it. I was not monitoring the open space schedule enough, and I didn't even know that it was going to happen. So next PyCon, I'll keep an eye on that better.
There was an open space about Django and Auth that I wanted to go to, but I didn't. It was like 5 p.m. I think I missed it. But
you were like taking a nap or something.
Maybe, I think I was. But yeah, next time I'll definitely like keep a better track of that, because there were a lot of different open spaces at different times. So you can definitely like go watch a talk and then like attend an open space right after. So there's definitely something for everyone.
And some of them weren't even technical. It was like knitting, or
I saw like rock, paper, scissors. Did you see that one?
No.
I saw that one. I was like, what?
People were just doing rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I think so.
It's a neat way to get different people who are interested in the same thing, like rock, paper, scissors, to all go to the same place. So it's so cool.
Of course. So Adam, this PyCon didn't have your favorite fried green tomatoes. Sad to see that.
Not this time.
But I thought the food was pretty good. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I only went to one of the lunches and I just skipped the rest of them. But the one I went to, it was pretty good, and it was better than typical conference food. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, there were like a lot of healthy options. Like there were a lot of salad, and there was like a quinoa patty that was really tasty. So I really liked that. There were definitely a lot of like options for different dietary restrictions.
The one thing that I was a little bit frustrated by was that they seemed to not keep the coffee around all day. And
oh my God, yes, I noticed that too.
It's 3 p.m, but I want coffee because this is when I want coffee. They didn't keep them around. So we ended up like walking to the Starbucks, which was fine, but it would have been nicer if I had just been able to get coffee right there. So
I agree. Like I definitely had my morning coffee, and then when I wanted a refill or a new cup, I'm like, there's no coffee. So, or maybe we missed it. Maybe it was somewhere else and we just didn't find it. Adam, did you see any famous people at PyCon?
Yeah, Britney Spears was there, Miley Cyrus, and Christina Aguilera. They were just like hanging out and
Expo Hall A?
Doing like a Expo Hall A. They were doing a duet, or with 3, what's a triplet?
Yeah. Jonas Brothers and Expo Hall B.
I know, this is like 90s pop stars reunion. Yeah, a lot of the well-known Python people go to PyCon. So Guido was there.
Oh my God, yes! I think I briefly saw Guido at the last day, in the last bunch of keynote talks, but I didn't get to meet him though. Being that close, I think I felt my Python skills level up. So I think I got what I went there for.
I definitely felt smarter.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's Guido or Guido, but I still felt smarter anyway. So he was there. A bunch of the core Python developers were there. Heineck was there, the author of Adders. So it's kind of neat that all these people are in the community.
And you sort of think of them as like programming celebrities. And it was really cool that like if they gave a talk or something, you could just go up and like talk to them. So it was really inspiring. I think overall, just seeing them like walking around, like it just gives you a boost that you just feel like, oh, that this is, I'm in the company of like some smart people.
You know, we had some tips in the DjangoCon podcast, and I feel like maybe I forgot all those tips when I went to PyCon. I don't know.
What happened, Adam? we both spoke with such conviction like in the DjangoCon episode.
And I believed it at the time.
Yeah.
I do, at least for me personally, because PyCon was so much bigger, I had a harder time sort of like integrating into different conversations or just going up to random people.
Yeah.
Did you have the same experience? Or
yeah, I think it really reflected on the first day that when I was getting lunch, it was just really crowded, and I was like, my prime motive now is just to find a place to sit and eat, and all of that like going up to people and talking to them that kind of went out the window, at least for then. So I think what I learned was like you have to adapt and don't do something that you're probably like not comfortable with doing. Just kind of like be natural. And if you feel like talking to people, do that. If you don't, then you don't have to. Like, don't force yourself to to do something that you're not comfortable doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That first day at lunch, I was walking with my coworker and we were looking at all the tables and there was no seats. There was no open seats that had, there were 2 people. And I was like, okay, well, I'll see you later. And I never saw him again.
Oh my God.
No, I'm just kidding.
I know. But, and to this day.
Don't know where he went.
Yeah, for me, I didn't eat my lunch in that area, in the Expo Hall A. I went outside and I found a space underneath some stairs. So it was nice and quiet there and felt a little bit like Harry Potter, you know. But it was nice. It was nice and quiet. And I even saw like people going outside to eat as well. Especially at a bigger conference, you need time to like decompress, especially like after being surrounded by like a lot of people and also like taking in a lot of like new information. You definitely need time for yourself.
Yeah, on the second day, I actually left the conference over the lunch period.
Oh, right. That's when I tried to find you because we were at the same talk and then you said you bounced. And then I was like, oh, that was fast.
Yeah, I just needed to like walk around in the fresh air and not be trying to like absorb all this new information.
Understood. Yeah.
And then I just got lunch by myself and it was awesome. It was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, that's completely fine. Yeah, I like that.
And I feel like some people in the middle of the conference like go back and take a nap just to kind of like recharge. I couldn't do that because my hotel was so far away.
Yeah.
But I was jealous of the people who could go back and take a nap.
Yeah, I did that on the last day. I went in the morning and there were some posters, so I took a look at those and then went back to my hotel and took a nap. And then I came back for the last bunch of keynote talks.
Did you have any new conference tips?
Yeah, so I think after going to PyCon, I have a conference tip. It would be to, if you want to look at a talk in one of the larger halls, definitely go there early and get your coffee and sit down and find a seat because it's pretty crowded and there's a lot of people. So sometimes you might have to like sit on the side or sit on the floor, which is completely fine. But if you want to sit in a seat, you better do that early on.
Yeah, I think related, I went to a couple of talks where within the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, this is different than what I expected, or I already know what they're going to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's totally reasonable to make a decision to go to another talk. And I felt a little rude, I guess. The first time I was just like, nope, I'm going to go to something else. But I think it's okay. Like there were like 4 or 5 tracks and there's lots of options. And so if you're not going to get value out of one of the talks, I think you should feel free to go to another one. I'm not sure if that's a hot take or not.
No, I think I did do this. There was like 2 LLM talks happening at the same time. And I went to the wrong one or the one that I didn't plan on going. And then sort of like halfway through, I'm like, oh, this is not the one that I planned on going. So I just got up and went to the other one. And so at least I got to experience like 2 talks, which is fine. But but I saw a lot of people doing that. So I don't think it was rude or anything.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, do they have other brands of coffee at the Nicholas coffee shop? Do they have your favorite Cafe Bustelo coffee there?
No, they didn't. They only have like the high end, like fancy coffee.
What do you mean? I thought Cafe Bustelo was the high end fancy coffee.
It's you can get it in any corner store in New York City. So
any bodega.
Any bodega in New York City.
New York.
It's pretty popular. I like really strong coffee that wakes you up, like
punches you in the face.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of strong coffee, like Cafe Bustelo, like the packaging is really strong.
It can kill zombies, is what I heard.
It can kill zombies. I recently found out, and this is a fact, that in 2015, hundreds of cans of coffee and vacuum sealed bricks of Cafe Bustelo washed up on the shores of Florida. And they were intact, and I think people took them and they made coffee out of them, they used them, and it was fine. So, like Cafe Bustelo is the best, and their packaging is top class.
Definitely going to survive the apocalypse. I think that's already been proven.
Yeah, it's been proven,
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. We already know that it's zombie proof. Now we know that it's waterproof.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone should go out and get Cafe Bustelo and see for themselves.
Exactly.
If it is as good as Sangeeta thinks it is.
And if anyone out there works at Cafe Bustelo, please sponsor us. We would love to be sponsored by you because I think...
We just want free coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not too proud to say that.
Last night I ordered like 12 bricks of Cafe Bustelo because they ran out.
So how long is 12 bricks going to last you?
So the last time I bought 12 bricks, it lasted me 6 months.
Okay, so you're going through 2 bricks a month.
Yeah. But that was like
a lot.
It wasn't only Cafe Bustelo. We tried different coffees. So I think if I were to only drink Cafe Bustelo, it would be maybe...
You go through more?
Yeah, fewer than 6 months.
All right, well, you'll have to keep us updated on...
Yeah, I will. So
your
December...
consumption.
Yeah, in January, I'm going to give everyone an update. Well, Adam, I never asked you, like, what type of coffee do you drink?
What kind of coffee do I drink?
Yeah.
We get our coffee delivered from a company called Black and Bold.
Okay.
And they have all sorts of different coffee beans that are from different places and different roasts and stuff. And so we get the light roast because...
the light roast? Okay.
We like weak coffee.
Amateurs. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so they deliver it. And so it just comes on a schedule. So I don't think about it ever. And it just shows up in my house. And we've been doing it for probably the past 4 years. And
oh, wow.
It's pretty awesome.
A long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you tried their other beans? Like, have you tried like a lot of their flavors?
I think in the beginning, we tried a couple of different ones and then we found one that we really liked and we just stuck with it.
Okay. So speaking of like coffee, right? I recently saw that there is a type of coffee that has electrolytes in it. So it's good for like running if you're about to go for a run. I do want to try that coffee because I like the added benefits of it.
How do they like inject it into the coffee beans? How does that even work?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's got extra electrolytes.
But it's good for running. So like maybe it gives you,
Well, you've tried like the gels, right? When you run and do those work?
They have caffeine in them, so they work really well. They're sweet, and I love the coffee flavored ones, so I always get those, or the chocolate ones. Chocolate and coffee, my favorite. So,
okay, I just drink water whenever I run, but I don't run for like 2 hours like some people. So it like doesn't. It probably doesn't matter as much. But the people who run a lot, you need to replace everything that you're losing as you're sweating and
that's
you're
true.
running so much. So. Oh, are you doing a half marathon coming up?
I am. So I'm doing my 3rd half marathon this October.
Whoa.
Yes. I know, humble brag. Yeah. My 3rd one this October, and I'm hoping to do my first actual marathon in 2026. So I'm giving myself like 1 year, like next year, to like just up my mileage and kind of like take it slow and really be prepared for like a full marathon.
Mm-hmm. When I've talked to people who've done a marathon before, the training is interesting because you never actually do the 26 miles or whatever beforehand. So you don't actually know if you can do all of it.
Yeah. But so it's kind of weird because like they say the reason they say don't run a full marathon before your marathon, they advise against it because you will most likely hit the wall on a training run when you can be using your training time to really build your aerobic base and just like get that mileage in instead of like kind of like tiring out yourself and overexhausting yourself. And then you need to take time to rest after that. So it's generally not advised.
It sounds like a lot. And
and you're going to do it one day.
I will cheer for you.
And trust the process.
I will mentally cheer for you from my chair in my house.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. So Django says that's our PyCon recap. I hope you all enjoyed it. I definitely want to do more PyCons in the future and definitely DjangoCons as well. So maybe I'll see some of you at DjangoCon this year. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope to go to more conferences in the future. I mean, I always learn something new and it's always a good experience. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, till then, at the next conference. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Shoot, I messed up.
As pretty as the other fudges. I think fudge is plural, right? It's not like fudges. Don't judge a fudge by its shape, I guess.
Don't judge a fudge. Funiculars? I'm gonna have to say all that again. Okay.
I definitely hit my 10,000th. I don't know. Speaking of falling floors,
speaking of collapsing buildings. Keynote. Sorry.
No coffee, no water,
no floor. Another thing that's scary is people.
I had a brain fart moment.
And I think it's interesting. It's interesting because it's interesting, and I don't know, I just thought it was interesting.
And now that it's faster, it's just, it's great.
now that it's faster, it's faster.
So, Adam, what do you think about the... Right?
Yeah, right? Bart Simpson is like, I caramba. I caramba. No.
AI caramba.
AI. All right, should we do an outro? We should do an outro.
Yeah, okay.
AI.